Falconry is the process of hunting with a bird of prey, where you trap it, you man it, you train it, and then you hunt with it. I am a falconer, and a falconer's job is essentially to be the hunting partner of a wild bird of prey, a raptor, and it's my job to take care of him, provide for him. They aren't pets, they're hunting, they're animals, and you're just hunting with them, like assisting them in the hunt. So you don't pet the hawks, you don't, like touch them, like nuzzle up against them or anything. They're still like a wild animal and a predator. You're essentially their hunting dog when you go out. You like kick the brush and see if you can get any sort of animals to come out. When you first trap a hawk, they think that you're going to eat them. So they're like, why is this big man trying to eat me? So you have to get them used to the idea that you're not going to kill them. I use an old falconry method where I sat with my bird for probably 24 hours until he was really tired, and we were both really tired. So that's usually the fastest way to bond with them, but some people are lazy and they don't want to stay up that late, but I was ready for it. You can either go out hunting to feed it, or you can feed it on the fist. Usually you'd feed them what they'd eat in the wild, or like mice, and you just put them on your fists and it would eat them. When we go out hunting, they're usually allowed to feed up at least a little bit on whatever they kill. My hawk's name is Roland, and he's a passage male red-tailed hawk. He weighs in between 28 and 30 ounces, depending on the day and whether he's hunting or not. I named him Roland after the Stephen King series, the Dark Tower series, where Roland is a gunslinger that is kind of one against the world, so I thought that would be a pretty fitting name for him.
I think Roland's awesome. Roland has responded really well to him. He thinks Roland will be a fast flyer and may still be able to hunt the larger prey. And I think he's doing really well with Roland. He's really excited about how fast Roland is catching on. The one thing that Roland has done that didn't make me happy was one day Anthony did go out and he had his mind on other things, and he came back in and mentioned that he needed the peroxide and the alcohol really quick. The bird had footed him. That was his first time. And that was quite an experience. It's quite an experience to see my kid fall on the floor in pain.
Footed is when they take their talons and it's called footing when they grab into something and sink their talons in. When he was on me, he just kept trying to fly away with my arm. I mean, he couldn't do it, but he was sure going to try. So it just kept on pulling on it, and it was pretty bad.
So that I wasn't really happy with Roland about that. But otherwise, I think he's really cool. It's very interesting to have him. He's a beautiful bird. Anthony's always been an avid reader, and 3 of the books that he read when he was very young, first grade, were the Gene Craighead George books. First was My Side of the Mountain, and from then on, it was always like, man, it would really be cool to have a bird. It would be so cool to have a bird.
I've read quite a few old books, and that's mostly how I became interested in it, was medieval texts. I have this one book, I kind of call it a tome, my tome of knowledge. Even though it's, a couple hundred years old, it's still one of the best texts on falconry. I had to have all my equipment inspected by a DNR officer. I also had to have my facilities, which is called a mew, and it's actually like an aviary for a bird of prey. And it's a 10 by 12 structure that he stays in when I'm not hunting him.
I had not a clue that our bird was going to require a house. It has to be very precise as far as what you have, because the bird has to be safe in his part, and then the falconer himself has to have an area where he can prepare everything, get the food ready for the bird, have all the tools and stuff that he uses with the bird in his own little area.
He sits out there throughout the night, and then in the morning I come and weigh him, and then depending on what we're doing during the day, I'll either take him out hunting or take him training, or just leave him if he's too fat. When they're at higher weights, they know that they don't need to fly because they have enough food. So when they're hungry, they're willing to do more things like hunt and fly to your fist. So when they're fat and happy, they just want to sit there and just be troublesome. Some days he'll come right to me, or he'll wait until I come get him. Some days I have to follow him around for a half hour as he flies from perch to perch to perch as I'm chasing him around, because you can't just grab a hawk to hey, I'm gonna grab this dog and put his collar on. If you grab a hawk, he's going to tear you apart, so that's usually not the best option. People that want to get into falconry, they kind of have to prove to everyone else that they're like worthy of it. There were a lot of struggles doing falconry for me. I had to jump through quite a few hoops. It's a huge time commitment, money commitment, and the falconers that kind of like ostracize people that, you know, are trying to get into it, they're not doing it so that they can be the only ones. They're doing it for like the welfare of the birds. Because they don't want a bunch of people out there that don't know what they're doing, you know, trapping hawks and doing bad things with them.
The capturing of live hawks is just ridiculous. I think that hawks should be in nature, flying around. They're not meant to be tamed and caged as basically domestic animals. I think what he's doing is completely wrong. There's really no purpose.
In my opinion, there really aren't that many things wrong with falconry. There are some falconers that do not practice falconry ethically, and I'm not okay with that. But if you practice falconry ethically, then it's perfectly kosher. In the wild, 90% of red-tailed hawks in their first year die. So we're actually giving them like a lease on life, like we give them a little extra.
If you don't know, if you haven't studied, if you're not aware of what actually goes on, one could easily think that, oh, you're capturing something that's supposed to be wild. This bird is still wild. You know, he's not taming. You don't really tame a bird. You work with a bird. When he releases this bird in a year or two, this bird will still be able to go back to nature. And the bird will fly, and the bird will catch prey, and the bird will be fine.
I don't know if I'm going to keep Roland past another year, depending on how good of a hunter he is, and depending on if I want to get experience with another type of bird. I'll probably move to a different bird. I like to do things that are different that other people don't do. Everyone knows I'm kind of odd, but they seem to like it, at least for the most part.
I actually really like him, and I feel really sorry for him that Anthony's his father. And there, now you should be filming that crap right there. Yeah.